Hey guys, it's Holly. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to take a few minutes to share a quick hypothyroidism update, and I'm also going to mention a few of my life hacks that have led me to be able to live my best life, and I know that there's only so much greater to come in the future. So I would like to share a few of those with you. And so first and foremost, when it comes to my hypothyroidism, some of you have been following that and some of you not, but I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism earlier this year, back in February. It was pretty mild at the time. And I did take the hormone replacement therapy, so I took levothyroxine for how many months did I take it? I can't recall. I want to say it was about 4 or 5 months. No, actually, it was closer to 6 or 7. It was a good period of some months that I took this medication. And so I stopped taking it, and I had been supplementing with iodine and just taking different thyroid support supplements in general, also massaging the thyroid with walnut oil and consuming walnut products as well, long story short. So I've done some other videos on things that I did regarding the hypothyroidism, but my levels have been checked now for the third time this year, and they're still normal. So the last time I had them checked, I had the TSH and the 3 and 4. So I had those tested, those levels, and it was normal this last time, which was probably maybe 6 weeks ago. And then I also was tested again back in May, and so let's see, it is now December. So my levels have been, for a fact, I know, completely normal since May. And then when I went off the medication, then I had been off the medication for a while when I had retested as well. So I will continue to retest every, say at least twice a year, at least once every 6 months. But as of now, I do not have any symptoms of hypothyroidism. I have not for a very long time. Fortunately for me, fatigue was not one of my symptoms. My symptoms were manifested in the form of heavier periods and just a couple of other things, such as a little bit of hair loss. I had a little patch right here on my head that was thinning a little bit, which was kind of odd because that doesn't really run in our family genetically. So that is gone. However, I also implemented some other techniques to get rid of that patch as well. So really that was about it. I mean, there were a couple of other really minor symptoms, but other than that, I probably would have never even known that I had hypothyroidism. So I don't expect that my symptoms will return as long as I keep doing what I'm doing. Right now, I'm simply just taking one iodine supplement. I am taking iodine with potassium tincture, and that is all I'm taking right now in terms of my thyroid. So I will continue to supplement and to keep tabs on it, but it looks like for the foreseeable future, things will be fine. I definitely think thyroid problems are reversible to an extent. It depends on the severity. It depends on the different circumstances playing into your individual case, whether it's hyperthyroidism or hypothyroidism, but I definitely feel that it can definitely be resolved, absolutely. And I know we're so conditioned to believe that you can never cure hypothyroidism. Once you have it, that's it. You're always going to have it. And I mean, I just don't believe that's the case. And I'm also living proof that that right now, I don't have it. So it's really exciting stuff, guys. But anyways, that's about all I have to say about the hypothyroidism. Now, I do want to just briefly share a few of my life hacks with you, and I just wanted to share this because I really was thinking about all of the different circumstances playing into my life that have helped me to really just live my best life and have the most amount of freedom possible, and to be able to just go out and do what I feel like I need to do what I want to do in my life, and not feel tied down necessarily. So my first tip is be your own boss. And so this is going to look different for everybody. So the number one thing I can say is being your own boss is always going to be the key to freedom. That doesn't mean it's going to be easier. But what it does mean is that you're in control. And when you're in control, it takes a lot of stress out of your life because, yes, you're having to answer to an extent to your customers, your clients, or whoever it is. But you're also not having to be tied down. You're not having to do what somebody else is telling you all the time. Like, everything is on you. And so that is very interesting because, in a sense, you are having to just do your own thing, and you're really having to rely on yourself. And so it also creates, in my opinion, creates a much better sense of self-worth, self-value, and self-esteem because you are doing this all by yourself, and you are really just creating the life that you desire. And so there are some people out there that like to work for someone else, and I'm not downing anybody that is that way. I think for a lot of people these days, and I actually think most people would benefit from being self-employed. So that is just my personal opinion on that. But yeah, being your own boss would always be my number one tip for life hacks and just living the most free, prosperous life that you can. And that's really all there is to it with that particular point. But anyway, so secondly, I would say just being yourself, being the most unique version of yourself, staying in your element, because if you get to where you're trying to be like everybody else, that's going to create a lot of issues and a lot of resistance in your life, and it can create depression, anxiety, and so many other things. It's so important to just be yourself, be as unique as you can, be as authentic as you can, fully 100% authentic in your own skin. And so that might mean that maybe there are certain people that you don't want to be around anymore, certain conversations you don't want to have. Maybe it's your job. Maybe you need to go do something else. It could be anything. Maybe it's reevaluating your situation at home, certain relationships, etc. And there's no shame in that. So definitely just being yourself, because when you're 100% in your element, you're going to attract what you deserve. You're going to attract what needs to be in your life and what is meant for you. And so that's a really huge thing, and I think it's so people just look over it. It's so underrated, but you've got to just be yourself and not let other people influence you. Stop comparing yourself to other people. Social media detox is a huge thing. I've talked about it many times before, but giving yourself an opportunity to detox from that periodically, whether it's at least a couple times a year, 2 or 3 times, whether it's once a week, or even if it's just for a few hours a day, whatever it is you can do to get yourself away from social media for a while, it is so profound. And I actually did a separate video a while back completely on social media detox and just kind of my experience with that and how much it has changed my life. I do utilize quite a bit of social media for work and for advertising, etc., and just for interacting as well. However, I do notice that when I take a while off, it helps so much. And the main thing I tend to detox from is Facebook. For whatever reason, Instagram doesn't really trigger me. I don't know why. I know it triggers most people. And statistically, Instagram is like the number one thing that people can get triggered by, and comparisons, etc. But for me, Instagram doesn't really trigger me, so I don't detox from that very often. But I also only spend about literally 2 minutes a day on Instagram, because all I do is post a couple photos, check my messages, like a couple things, add a couple friends, and I'm good to go, and I'm off of that thing. So I think spending too much time just scrolling, go find something else to do. It is going to benefit you so much. So the next thing I will mention is, this is just an idea, and this is not something that everybody's going to want to do, but homeschooling, if you have kids, especially when they're younger. And homeschooling has been a huge game changer for me. It has changed my life so much, and it has really given me so much inspiration and made me feel like more of a valued individual. It's given me a better sense of self-worth, like some other things as well. And I just feel like it's the same concept as being self-employed, being your own boss. The same concept of you being able to do your own thing, dictate what's going on, control what's going on in your home and just your schedule in general. And so me, for example, I don't like to get up super early. I never have, and I probably never will. But it helps just being able to have control over your life and say, okay, I'm not going to wake up at 6 a.m. because I don't have to. And that doesn't mean you're going to sleep till noon every day or whatever, but it just means, hey, I'm going to, wake up when is going to be the most effective time and get on the right, the schedule for my family and what works best for my family. And so I see that with a lot of other homeschooling parents, homeschool families, that they really appreciate that variable of just being able to have control. You can go on vacations when you want. You can navigate and take your days off when you need, your weeks off, if your child is sick or you're sick or whatever the case is, you don't have to worry about getting a school note, getting a doctor's excuse, going through all of this, checking, these days with school, it can be so stressful. Your kid's bringing home homework. You've got to be there to pick them up, drop them off, or whether, they're at the bus stop or whatever. There's so much to consider with all of that. And I know my oldest son, he went to regular pre-K, which was just like a half-day pre-K a couple of years ago. But every day he brought stuff home that I would have to sign. I would have to go through all this stuff. And it was just a lot to take on. The school was always calling, leaving messages, sending emails like, oh, we need volunteers for this and that and this and that. And it's like, I just don't have time for that. I don't have the energy to cope with all of that. I would rather just do everything on my own time and take care of everything at home and have everything run smoothly. So anyways, that's not going to be something that's for everyone, but I do want to point out that if you have kids, that's something you could definitely look into if you are looking for more freedom and flexibility in your life and in your schedule with your family. So the last thing I want to talk about is just owning yourself, owning your presence in your own life. And so what I mean by this is just own it. Whatever it is you decide to do, whatever it is you're doing with your life, your job, whether or not you're homeschooling, whether, you're sending your child to public school, private school, whatever it is you're doing. Whether it is hobbies that you're engaging in, clubs, support groups, etc., whatever it is you're doing in your life, just own it. If this is what you're doing and you know this is the best path for you, just own what you are doing. And what I kind of mean by that is like, I'm trying to think of a good example, but let's say you are, going to the gym 2-3 times a week and you're working out. And let's say there are some people that don't want to see you doing that. Maybe they're family members. Maybe it's your husband or your wife. Maybe for whatever reason, they're subconsciously jealous, or they feel like maybe they don't have enough time to be doing that, but yet you really don't either, but you're making the time to go do it. And so that's something I've seen in some of my own personal relationships as well. I've had, people that are close to me say stuff like, oh, well, you're working out. Where's my workout? I don't get to work out. And it's kind of just one of those things where it's like, we all have 24 hours in a day. We all have the exact same amount of time to work with. So whatever it is you do with your time, just be efficient about it and just set your priorities and own it. And if other people don't like it and you're doing the best thing for you and or your family, then just let it be. But owning yourself and owning your presence in your own life is huge, because the truth is most people don't really own it. They actually feel owned, and they feel almost like they just don't feel like their life is really their own to live, and they feel like they're controlled by all of these outside factors, when in reality we can't control everything. I firmly believe that, but I do firmly also believe that we can control so much of our lives, and there's so much that we can do. And so the best thing to do is to just keep doing what you can and doing the best that you can. So with that being said, those are just a few of my basic life hacks for just creating more freedom and flexibility in life and living your best life and living it in the most stress-free way possible, especially this day and age, which is really hard. But I hope this video helps, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.